One thing I've always loved about HYROX is the feeling when you first go into arena. All these people are crazy about fitness, tunes pumping. First season was doubles, second season was open, and now it's let's go for the pros. I want to nail the pro weights. When you go through hard situations in life, training is such a good outlet.
Lying on the floor, starfished, and I get up for my next set of intervals and there's 4 people running towards me.
It was 30 degrees. This would be a good chance to test myself. Ended up running for 13 hours and running 84 kilometers.
Hey everyone, just a quickie before we get into the conversation. The podcast is always going to be free, so I'm never going to ask you to pay for anything. But if you could do me the kindness of subscribing and maybe leaving a review, that would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Allana Falconer, welcome to the podcast. I thought I'd begin with a quick rundown of your bio, which reads as follows. HYROX athlete, currently ranked 6th in the world in the 25 to 29 age category. This is your 3rd season in HYROX, and you've qualified for the World Championships in every one. Your first season, 2023, you secured 3rd place at the HYROX World Championships in the women's doubles. In 23-24, you were placed 1st in Bordeaux, 2nd in London, and ultimately finished 6th at the World Championships in Women's Pro, which aligns with your ranking. And this season, you won the Women's Open at Birmingham in your age category, qualifying for the World Championships in Chicago later this year. And you came 1st in your age category at London in mixed doubles with Chris Moulam-Jones. You're also a ultra marathon runner, regularly competing in endurance events, including Spartan Trifecta. And outside of competition, you work as an executive search consultant. To get it right?
Yeah,
all right.
Correct.
Nailed it. Okay, and at the end of your bio, you wrote, some may say it's an addiction, but for me, it's a desire to continue to push myself to the limits.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I guess I've always, if I put something to the test, I always want to achieve more. So I guess when I get to a competition, or when I've competed in a competition, I've probably never had that full fulfillment after. I always think, okay, where can I improve, or where's there room for improvement for the next event? And I think, I guess I've done quite a few HYROXes now. I know where my strengths are. I know where my weaknesses are. And I guess each event I'm trying to work to achieve, I guess, those weaknesses. I love the feeling of fitness. I love the feeling you get when you finish, like a run. I'm probably more of a runner than I am anything else. I've always loved running. I guess last year I did just over 2,500 kilometers running amongst the year. So do quite a few different intervals, but it's whether that's sort of like intervals over lunch breaks, or I've done half marathons before work. I'm a big fan of running.
Yeah, I seen that the other day. I replied to your story. I was like, you did like a 3-hour zone 2 or something. I'm like, that fucking base. I would like that base. Like, and as there's a bit of a meme as well where it's like people who go out running first thing in the morning and then they're just like falling asleep at work. Do you do that as well, or are you just like going?
Do you know what? It actually sets me up well for work when I run beforehand. I have a standing desk, which is great. Everyone
nice.
thinks everyone at work thinks
this one goes up and down.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's especially for when I run before work, because it means I can almost stretch at my desk, which is great. Everyone thinks I'm a little bit bonkers that I'm doing like 25k before I've got in at 8 a.m. But I live near the beach, so it's really nice running across sort of the Brighton seafront.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think I think it's definitely helping your HYROX. Anyways, tell us a bit about your ultra running then, and a bit about your background and in sport.
Yeah, cool. So ultra's actually something super new to me. So it was actually after I did Bordeaux last year in HYROX that I got a message on Instagram from Back of the Yard Ultra. So they are a company that do, I think they do one in Brighton, one in London, but actually I think the actual sort of the ethos of it is worldwide. And it's basically on the hour, every hour, you run 4 miles or 6.7 kilometers until the last person standing. And they're running this event in Brighton at a place called Stamina Park. And I got an email a couple of weeks before the event and said, "Hi, you've just won a free ticket to compete at Brighton Back of the Yard." And I think in my head, I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a go." Like, I have never actually entered a running race before. I've only just done running as part of training. Most I've ever run was a half marathon. I was like, I'll give it a go, see how I get on. And then it came up to the event, sort of turned up in my old HYROX trainers, which I couldn't really compete in anymore because I think they were quite worn down. I was like, I'll give them a go for this event. It was 30 degrees. I was like, this would be a good chance to sort of put myself to test myself, really, I guess, mentally. Ended up running for 13 hours and running 84 kilometers.
Wow.
Which, yeah, considering I'd never entered a running race in my life, and then
That's
going
crazy.
straight into did a back-to-back marathon in the end, so I was quite happy with that.
Fucking hell. So that's called back at the yard, back of the yard.
Back of the yard.
Back of the yard.
So yeah, I'm actually doing it again this year in May. Is it May? Yeah, in May, 10th May.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Sounds horrible, but it sounds fun. So tell me again. So, how does it work again? Every minute, is it 7 o'clock?
On the hour.
On the hour,
6.7 kilometers or 4 miles. And you have to basically complete a lap. So it's around Stamina Park, which is in Brighton, and you do a lap of the park, which I didn't realise last time I did it that there was an incline, so it's actually up a hill, which is nice on the way back, but when you're doing each time. And you've got to be back before the hour. So it took approximately about 46 minutes each time. So it doesn't matter how quick you do it, but you've just got to be back before the hour to then start it again.
Right.
So yeah, you've just got to sort of pace it really to know when to get back. I always wanted to make sure I got back, had something to eat, had some water. It was like 30 degrees, so I was drinking loads of electrolytes. But there's loads of ultra marathon runners there, so they were all a bit shocked. They're like, "So you've never done one of these before?" I said, "Well, I haven't trained for it. Just got to give it a go."
That's cool. So, so you did it for 13 hours, and what position do you come?
So I think it's I don't know how many people were left at the end. I think it was about 13 people left actually at the end. A lot of ultra runners. A lot of ultra runners, and I think the last person did it till 7 in the morning. So I started at 12 in the afternoon, finished just before 1, and then the last guy finished at about 7 a.m. So he did an extra 6 hours.
Wow. So yeah, that's fascinating because when I was doing my research, because I seen ultra, and then I thought I actually noticed you said like first running race or something like that, and I thought I'd read it wrong because you just assume that people who are in ultra have like been doing a lot of running. So what is it about your background that's enabled you to have that aerobic base? Because you can't be doing nothing, obviously.
So I played football from a young age. I probably got into football when I was 12 years old. And then was always into sport. So I got sports personality in my school, I think, when I was in year 9. And used to compete in pretty much every sports team in school. So whether it was netball, basketball, athletics, actually. Athletics is, I started from a young age. I used to run for Portsmouth doing 100, 200 meter sprints. I actually started that before football and then got into football, and that sort of took over my weekends after that. And then from then just always done sport, did football at uni. And then it was really in lockdown, actually, in the first lockdown where I started running again. I think people were either going through the drinking or getting fit, and I guess I always liked fitness, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna just spend all my time running. And I think I ended up spending, I think in 6 months I run like 600 or 700 miles in lockdown. And then I think that's when fitness really started to sort of incline again. And it was then that actually I ended up doing a lot of workout videos at home in my living room, as a lot of people were doing. Met a friend. Yeah. And then it was funny actually, because I remember at one point going into the woods and wanting to do a workout, but needing somewhere to go and do it. And I was doing burpees in the middle of the woods on FaceTime actually to my brother, as we were both doing a workout. And a guy was walking his dog, walked past. I thought, he must think I'm absolutely bonkers, because he probably doesn't see the phone, probably hear me like almost doing this workout, talking to myself, doing burpees, thinking, what is going on? So that's quite funny.
I had a similar moment when I was like, there's a canal where I live, and I was doing burpees and I had my headphones on. It was all like programmed in. So I was locked in, and like this woman's coming past on a horse, and I can see her in my peripheries, and I'm just going up and down, and it's quite narrow. And I'm thinking, she's going to think I'm an absolute arsehole because I'm not moving. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got to complete the workout. I'm not going to. Do you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had a lot of moments down that canal. I had someone, a group of people, I was doing intervals, and I take my rest intervals like really seriously. So I'm like lying on the floor, like starfish, doing my nasal breathing and stuff. And I get up, I raise up to get up for my next set of intervals, and there's 4 people just like running towards me, and I'm like, and they're like, oh fucking hell, like we thought you'd collapsed. And they just thought I just like passed out or was like dying on the floor or something. And then they got there, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, I was just resting for like 20 seconds or whatever, very seriously. I know, that's like, I'm sorry to have worried you. Anyways, my watch goes off, and I was like, sorry, gotta go. And then it's just like ran off. Yeah, the things we do is funny, isn't it? Sorry, I went off on a tangent then. So
no.
We were talking about you getting into running in and lockdown and your burpees in the woods. So what was like would you say your maximum distance of running was like half marathon during that period?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'd say that's sort of, I wasn't ever doing anything more than that. I was normally doing half marathons or 10Ks.
It's so interesting where like you look at that maximum distance and then having your child with doing football and stuff. So, you're doing 90 minutes. I mean, obviously there's a break in that. So maybe like 120. And how that tracks to be able to do something like ultramarathon or the 13-hour race that you were able to do. So I just find that really interesting. What about, and then when you eventually got into ultra, what did that look like?
Yeah, so I guess that's been the only event I've sort of done thus far in terms of ultras. I'm obviously doing the back of the yard again this year. I want to complete over 100K. I think that's sort of the goal. And I think long term, I guess the thing is, it's difficult because I think HYROX and ultras, are very different disciplines. And one of my biggest goals for this year is to get stronger and to put on more body mass to be able to sort of push the sleds much quicker. And obviously ultra running is just the complete opposite of that. Like, you're shredding muscle mass massively. I've recently saw sort of the Marathon des Sables. I'm not sure if you've heard of it or come across it before.
No,
but
what's that?
So it's 250 kilometers running across the desert. And it's voted one of the hardest marathons in the world. And
marathon what, sorry?
Marathon des Sables.
Oh, des Sables.
And yeah, so I want to do that, but I think that's going to come sort of secondary, I guess, to HYROX. I think I want to sort of see how far I can go with HYROX, and then that will be something, I guess, once I've hang up my shoes as such in that area, then I'll look to probably do ultra running. But I think a lot of people tend to get into ultra running, I guess, a little bit later anyway. I actually spoke to my sports masseuse yesterday, and she said one of her clients is 65 and he just completed it, which is crazy because a lot of people hallucinate on these crazy runs, because it's like 40 degrees across a desert, and you're running about 80k a day.
Yeah, no, that's it's pretty crazy. It's funny because I'm like not obviously nowhere near your level, but I'm more of a runner. And I'd signed up to. I've never done a marathon before, but it's one of them like I need to do it. You know, I need to tick it off the list. So I was signed up to do Manchester this year, and I'm just kind of like trying to work out like if HYROX is my priority, is this the best thing for me? And it's the same sort of thing whereby like really my off season, my spring, summer, whatever should be based on getting stronger, really. And it's like, do I really need to be doing a marathon block? You know, so but it's hard, isn't it? Because you want to do everything. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna not do it and then do it at a later date. But
it's so difficult though, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, because like I've even said to myself after this, I want to do a marathon now. But then it's like, actually, what do I want to achieve this year? And what I want to achieve is getting better at HYROX. And yeah, and then it's just balancing, which actually is, yeah, what's the best training for it? And, you know, I guess doing marathons and marathon training, it's great running, but actually it's having that strength as well behind it.
I was looking at your like CV thing, which has got all your results and stuff, and I noticed you had at the end of it was the like pull-ups and stuff, which was pretty impressive for like a runner. Because was it like at longest plank 30 minutes, max press ups in a minute 71, max pull ups in 30 seconds 21. Which is because a lot of people in HYROX can get away with just being a very good runner. And what that made me think was like you're such a good example of the hybrid athlete. Where do you think that strength aspect like comes in? Because it seems like, I don't know, you just said you need to work on your strength or whatever, but it seems like you are pretty strong, certainly your upper, which is not common with runners. I feel like runners don't know how to fucking activate the scapula. Just talking about myself, but so where does that come in?
Yeah, so I guess, so when I was in lockdown, I was doing workouts at home. I ended up meeting a friend, and he joined, he ended up being a PT at a local gym to me, which is called Ultimate Training. And they're sort of like a unit, and they do a lot of ropes, strength training, very much sort of HYROX-y sort of style training. So that would have been a good few years ago now. And I joined there as, you know, this runner that had done X amount of miles during lockdown with no muscle, and was like, joined this gym. And I guess I became quite obsessed with the gym. I loved it. They did loads of strength training. And it's crazy to think when I joined there, I was just sort of this lean machine. And now I'd say they're quite upper focused. So they do a lot of strength training, but I guess their schedule is like, they almost have different class each day, whether it's Metcon, full throttle, or strength training, and it would be a mixture of ergs and rowers, and then weights in between. And I guess from there, I started doing a lot more strength training. Absolutely loved it, and that sort of became. And that was sort of when I stopped playing football as well. I was like, right, the gym. I love the gym now, and that's where I started building up my strength a lot more. And yeah, I think once I got there and started building up strength, that was something that I like to see. I like to sort of see the improvements and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I feel like most people I've spoken to that end up doing really well in HYROX have had this mix of disciplines before they come into HYROX. And it seems to like set them up well, whether you know, you've done a few years at CrossFit, or whether you've been doing more endurance stuff, and like having this mix of stuff. I mean, this is why it's called hybrid, right? I spoke with Chris Jones. I reached out to him, just asking him about you and his thoughts on why you're successful. And I'm summarizing here, but he basically said that you enjoy yourself no matter the occasion, and he said you've always got a smile on your face. Where do you think that comes from? Because it's not like super common, and people can take themselves quite seriously. Why do you think you have this like light approach? What is it about training and competition? How are you able to keep that kind of mindset?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I've always so my previous job, actually, before I used to work as an executive search consultant, I've only been in this job since August 23. So just after I placed third at Worlds in HYROX that year, I actually left a career in the police, and I used to work as a detective in modern slavery and human trafficking investigations.
Well,
but I sort of joined the police originally because I guess it's like the fitness, but sort of the adrenaline. And I think actually I left because I wanted to focus on fitness. And then I almost got that adrenaline feeling from fitness. I feel like actually this hasn't answered the question.
keep
Just going
going.
back.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, and everyone always said to me, you work such a serious job, but you're such a smiley and happy person. And I've always sort of, yeah, I guess I've always had sort of a positive outlook on life. Even in, yeah, even in previous job, like obviously there's a lot of, I guess you see sort of a lot of negatives in policing in terms of different lifestyles. And I think actually you've got to be positive about what you've got, and there's so many good things to see in life and do. And I think with training, I've always enjoyed the feeling you get after training. And I think, sometimes when you go through hard situations in life, training is such a good outlet, and is such a, yeah.
What's your upbringing like?
Yeah. Great family, got amazing parents, got a sister and a brother, all very close as a family unit. Lived near the beach, so very active. Dad actually had a boat, as in like a rowing boat, before he had a car. So him and his mum went around Europe so he could surf. So he was always active. Great sort of water sporty person. Mum very healthy, very into nutrition. I think actually one time when I went home when I was at uni, my parents were on my mum was on an acid and alkali diet to optimize her levels in her nutrition, and my dad was on an all protein diet. So yeah, both very nutritious. And then brother's army, so like super beastie in terms of sessions, and sister's a CrossFitter now. So yeah, I guess quite a sort of, I get fitness orientated sort of family.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like when there are almost like two sides to when you meet people who are good athletes, and you have like the one side which is they've got like this massive insecurity, monkey on the back, chip on the shoulder, maybe a bit of childhood trauma that's driving them to become the best. And I mean, you only have to look at like the celebrations that happen on the finish lines of HYROX to be able to see that. That's fascinating to me. Like there's some like interesting stuff going on there. And then you have on the other side of it, there's like probably someone like you where you're kind of just like light and you take everything kind of easy, and you've been brought up in this like positive culture around fitness that's maybe not necessarily like forced upon you, but it's just how you've been brought up rather than it being like. And yeah, I just find these two things so fascinating, and how like what drives people and why they do things. And yeah, I'm endlessly fascinated by it. And I think the people that smile are just, yeah, it's something actually I've been trying to bring into my training and because I feel like when I first started, I had a bit of a point to prove to myself and my imaginary audience. And it was, everything was like, yeah. I literally had like, I posted on my Instagram the first time I did a sub 25k, and it's just me just like screaming, just like, yeah, like, and now I look at it and I'm like, whoa, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and now I'm just a bit more relaxed about it. And I think that's a really nice place to get to. And I feel like, you know, maybe if you're just starting out in your fitness journey, you might have to use some of that like toxic fuel to get you started or whatever. But ultimately, there's something really awesome about someone who is just smiling like while they're going around a HYROX. It's really infectious, and yeah, it's cool. And it's nice to see like people who do that. So
yeah, I think that's one thing that's great with HYROX. It's like that fitness race for everyone, and I think the culture in HYROX is incredible. The people, you know, I guess it's a room sort of everyone that shares the same passion as you. So like to see how many people are there that love fitness, and yeah, it's just such a good atmosphere. I think that's one thing I've always loved about HYROX is like the feeling when you first go into arena, and it's just all these people that are crazy about fitness and want to be there. And you've got the tunes pumping, and it's just such a good atmosphere with everyone, I think.
what do you think about the body image and like the topless thing? Obviously, topless men, by the way.
Do you know what? It's so hot in there, so
Yeah.
I don't blame them. There's definitely tunnels. Like I can't remember where the last event was. It in London, the London last event. There was a tunnel at the back, and I thought, well, great for them, you know. And it's always interesting to see because I have always been super fascinated by like HYROX physiques because it is like running is super slim, CrossFit is super muscly, and it's like getting that like perfect balance in between. And something I guess I'm probably more weighted towards like a runner's physique rather than like HYROXy, and that's something I'm building at the moment to get stronger. But I always find that like I find that sort of fascinating where that sort of sits in between, like in the middle.
It's cool though, because because you say you've got a runner's physique, but if you went to a running event, you'd be like the most jacked person on the start line.
Yeah.
That's like I did like a park run recently, and I was like, oh hey, like I'm like, this is all right, because everyone like running is totally different, isn't it? And that's what's cool about. That's what I love about HYROX. I mean, there is some like, you know, there's a little bit of like body image and stuff that comes into it. But it is nice to like. I always used to say because I did fell running for a little while, and I'm like, that is hard. Like running around a mountain for like 3 hours, and then you get to the finish line, and there's like a man and his dog, and you just look like a stick. And I'm like, I feel like based on the amount of effort that I put in, I'm not getting much back from this. So like HYROX, because you've got this mix of things, you know, it allows you to get a little bit of muscle mass, you know, you feel a bit more confident in yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not having to like put in, well, I say you're not having to put in that much effort. If you're at the top, like you obviously do. And you in your 3-hour runs before you go to work and stuff. So have you got a coach?
I haven't, no.
Interesting.
So I haven't got a coach. I have recently just had two sponsors that two people that have just sort of onboarded me, which is really exciting. One is sort of a sports therapist who I actually went to go and meet for the first time last night, and is actually going to help me in terms of putting something together to more focus on my strength. And another one which is so have you heard of oxygen therapy?
Like hyperbaric?
Yes. Yeah.
I'd seen it on your story yesterday, actually.
Yeah, which is really exciting. So yeah, they're a company called Breathe. They work sort of they're based close to where I work, but they're starting to do sort of more studies around sort of HYROX athletes, and yeah, they do obviously. Oxygen therapy is super good for sort of speed and recovery, increasing strength, increasing performance. So yeah, really excited. Just started down there, so I'm hoping, after going down there I'm doing sort of 3 to 5 sessions per week, post training for faster recovery, pre competition for endurance boosts, which is something I've never done before. So
Cool.
really excited to see sort of how that's gonna sort of assist with training. But yeah, I think I've always done everything on my own, in terms of like probably the last couple of months, so all the past seasons, done my own training plans, nutrition plans. Yeah, I think everyone always thinks I think all friends and people I work with think I'm an absolute fitness addict. But I think anyone that does HYROX probably is, to be honest.
Yeah, you've got to be a bit crazy. So the oxygen, the hyperbaric thing. So is that literally just taking in more oxygen?
Yeah, so basically you lay in a chamber. So I think it's 21% of oxygen you breathe, just where we are now.
Huh?
And then when you get in the chamber, it's 99% pure oxygen, and you go in for 60 to 90 minutes. Yeah, and you lay down. It's really comfy, actually. I ended up bringing a book with me last time. You can have a little nap. And yeah, it's just pure oxygen in a sort of a pressurized chamber.
Because I didn't realize you had like a mask on. So it's pressurized. So presumably there's two things going on, like the actual pressure of the atmosphere, like around your your body, and then what you're breathing in as well. Like, why did they
Yeah.
need the oxygen mask?
Mm,
Because
yeah, I'm not entirely sure, actually.
because you
Maybe.
couldn't breathe. Because because if it was 100% did you say it's 99% oxygen around in the atmosphere?
Yeah. No, in the
In the
chamber.
math, okay,
Yeah.
interesting. So, and you said a sports therapist is
Yeah.
so. What's a sports therapist?
So she does sports masseuse, sport
Okay,
recovery.
right,
Yeah, so has her own clinic, and yeah, does sort of pre-event, post-event
yeah.
massages. Also, sort of gives nutrition advice, and sort of supports around sort of training and etc.
Mm. So, how do you go about structuring your training?
Yeah, so I guess my training is very much sort of as I go. I guess this is something that I definitely think I could improve on by miles, because I think when I sort of see actually how the top performers are doing their training blocks, which is something I haven't done previously, I think I almost say to myself, I need to do X amount of running, X amount of intervals. Like I always say, okay, I need to do, say for instance, 2 interval sessions a week, one long distance, one fast paced 10K. And then within that, I'll do training down at Ultimate Training down in Burgess Hill, which is sort of the HYROX training, which is the mixture of sort of strength training and cardio. And then and then almost do like I've very much started doing sort of long trail runs on the weekend now. So it's a bit of a mishmash, I have to say.
Yeah, it's interesting, and do you know what? Kind of refreshing, because
Mm,
it's so much more. It's more common that people have a coach, and they do periodization,
mm,
and everything is like structured. And I love talking about all this sort of stuff, but um, it does seem somewhat like more holistic by doing it yourself.
mm,
And like, so I'm with a coach most of the time,
mm,
but I was actually thinking recently, I was like, I'm kind of looking forward to, because I usually go off plan in off season. I do my own thing. I'm kind of looking forward to it because I quite like doing my own programming. You know, if I can stay motivated, which I'm pretty good at anyways, but like it's such a skill to be able to recognize what you need in your body and how you're feeling. So I think it's something that's maybe not utilized that much, and people, you know, no one knows your body like you, but obviously a coach, they can spot things that you can't see, but also you might argue, but the coach won't know things that you're experiencing inside that you know to be true. And I think obviously experimenting is probably a good approach. And for you, I suppose it's like you've got to this place without a coach. So I'd imagine that feels like quite, you don't want to let go of what's been working, right?
Yeah, and I guess that's always been something I've been really difficult. I found quite difficult because I think I've always said I've got to this space because I haven't had a coach, and I feel like quite proud that that's happened. I keep sort of saying like I want to go further with HYROX, and if I can get there on my own, then that's a massive achievement. But I also have a feeling now that I've almost got to like this certain level, and I want to enter, like it's like being in a game, and I want to unlock the next level, and I'm like, how am I going to get there? And I think now yesterday, like going down to positive touch therapy, which is my sports masseuse, and her saying, I guess it was quite clear how she said, you're looking at your training plan like this, and I'm able to look at it like this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, actually, yeah, maybe I should be doing that. And, you know, I guess I've said to myself a couple of times, you know, I've done a couple of pro races now, and I've come away from that pro race, and I'm like, I need to get stronger. Like, you know, like every discipline was on par, like, you know, with that, like my running's now on par, like with the top, like burpees are on par with the top, and it's those sled pushes and the sled pull, which I like need that extra assistance with, and I know that's strength, but in a way it's like, yeah, I guess that's where I need sort of the assistance and the help in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at I think it was your Birmingham race, and it was interesting where like you're literally the opposite of me. It's like the start of the race stations are my strength.
Okay.
The back are my weakness. So yeah, let's talk about stations actually. Okay, so your strongest stations are lunges, burpees, SkiErg, right?
Yeah.
Have they always been strong, or have like which of those have improved the most since you?
Oh, good question. Burpee's always been strong. Like I said, I think I've been burpee obsessed from a young age, but lunges, yeah, I guess have improved, and SkiErg. Like I've always sort of held myself in terms of events that SkiErg, even obviously when I haven't come first place or whatever, after the sleds, I'm always sort of first to the SkiErg, and SkiErg is something that I've definitely improved on. So that one's an interesting one.
What do you think that what's improved your ski?
The gym, I think. The gym I go to, every so how I ski a lot, I guess. So every
So it's
session
not
is
like it's not strength activities, it's actual skiing.
actual skiing. So
Yeah.
that is at least 4 days a week I'm skiing. Which I think, and I think
What sort are you doing? Intervals? Are you in zone 2? Are you doing
intervals? So different sessions will have different, I guess it could be. So if it's a fast paced session, it might be 200-meter sprints. Then it could be another session, could be 500-meter endurance. Other sessions sometimes is doing 1,000. And actually, I think the one which I'm most excited to see improvement wise in my next event is actually probably my rowing, because rowing hasn't always been my strong point. I did a lot of rowing in December. I actually did one of those, did the Concept 2 rowing challenge, and ended up doing 200,000 meters on the rower for the month of December, which I think at the time when I signed up to it, I don't think I actually realised how much work it was going to be. It felt like I was back in school and I was completing homework, doing, 15,000 meters before work, and I was like, oh god, this is actually, this is not the funnest.
So 15,000, right? Yes. So what are you on for, like an hour and a half, something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the rower, and then being at work and not being able to sit on my seat because my bum was so sensitive from sitting on the rower for too long.
I love the ergs. I think
Mm.
like some people will say like the ergs won't win you a race, but I felt like because I didn't run for like 4 or 5 weeks before my last HYROX because I had a bit of a knee injury, and so I was just on ergs all the time, and I think it really helped. Like yeah, like both the ergs got better, and I like my aerobic capacity, I would say, improved despite not running.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love them. So
Yeah.
cool.
I
And
love them. Favorite part, I think, one of my favorite parts, I think, is
yeah,
the ski.
although I did row in the relay that we just did,
Mm.
and it was the worst 3.5 minutes of my life.
What was it that you didn't like? Was just that it was.
Oh, it was just minging. Like, do you know, like I spend so much time on technique as well. Then all of a sudden, it was just all arms, and like I could just feel the lactic, like in my upper arms and that. But it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, and there was this guy in front of me, and I didn't know, but like all my team were like, we're trying to get ahead of this other team, but I wasn't aware. Like I've never seemed to notice people for some reason. I don't know, like, and managed to pull ahead, so I was pleased. But there's like a picture, there's a video, and I'm just like,
The pictures on HYROX though,
yeah.
they get you at some very not great times, I have to say.
Yeah, and they've changed the photographers, like the quality of the photos has gone way down.
Oh, massively,
Hasn't
yeah.
it? And then so now like you just look like a ghost.
Yeah.
I mean, normally like I'd probably like have like a cheeky sunbed before, but I didn't. I didn't for Manchester, and because they didn't have any of the filters or whatever, I literally look like a ghost, Uncle Fester or something.
Yeah, I had that in Bordeaux, and I have to say I got the photos and never used them. So
Yeah, they're totally missing a trick there. Like, but I suppose it's hard. It must be hard at such scale to get enough photographers and stuff, because I think there's two things. I feel like the angles, so the actual photography, is not as good, and I feel like for some reason they just stopped doing like that cool filter, that like dark, moody thing that I honestly feel like the topless thing and the moody photos would have been responsible for so much of HYROX's growth.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everyone's like, you get that photo of you on the sled pull,
Yeah.
and it looks epic.
Yeah.
Everyone looks epic. It looks
Yeah.
so primitive. And then everyone puts it as the profile picture. Oh, what's that thing you're doing?
So true, actually, because I think the photos I've always used from HYROX on like my socials has been the sled pull.
Sled pull every
Even though I
time.
hate that station, but you could probably tell it in my face.
I think, yeah, because you just like your biceps are like pumped
Yeah.
up. Yeah, it's awesome.
You have to tap into like getting some good sort of not aggression into it, but with the sled, you have to sort of get into that second level to be able to pull it, I always find.
You decided to pivot from, because it was all doubles in your first season. What was like involved in that? What made you move from doubles to singles?
Yeah, so I used to do it with a girl called Carla, one of my friends, Carla. She actually ended up moving to Dubai that year. And we both sort of decided to go solo from there. And I think we'd done so well in the doubles together. And I think I wasn't really interested in partnering with anyone else at that point because I thought, we've done so well together as a pair. I think this is a good chance to try the singles, see how I get on the singles. And it's so interesting because singles and doubles are like such different events. I find like singles is such an endurance event, and doubles is like just sprint. fast. Like,
it's very different. I've just done my first doubles, and everything else before was singles, and I can't believe how different it is.
Yeah, massively.
Like, I'm kind of glad that I did singles first, though, because I'm like, oh, this feels so much easier. But I don't know. Maybe you'd see it either way.
Which one did you prefer?
I don't know, really. Well, I fucked up. So me and my mate, I didn't count enough laps, and I shouted at him. I said, "We need to go in," and he was like, "Do we?" And I fucked up. I totally. So it kind of ruined my experience of it. Like, I was pleased because we would have got. I worked it out with the penalties, like 1 or 2, but we would have got like 59 minutes if I hadn't have fucked up. So I'm pretty pleased with that.
Yeah.
So it was awesome, but do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like tainted a little bit because I can't actually say this was our time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I did like it because it's just so different, isn't it? Like going, just knowing that you can have that little bit of a break on the stations.
Yeah.
And I know you're going harder, but like, yeah, it was cool. And I think because my mate's really like, he's an ultra runner, so I think it was good for me to like hang on to him.
Yeah.
And kind of know, know what it's like to sort of go at that pace. Sorry, I interjected a little bit there.
No.
So, you were telling me about your decision to switch.
Yeah, so I guess that was sort of the reason. Then started doing singles. And yeah, I've really enjoyed doing singles. And I think actually it's like, I guess what I said like sort of right at the beginning in terms of my bio, like that desire to push more. And it's like, right, I've achieved doubles now. What can I achieve? Which is going to be the next step up for that. Okay, let's try and see how I get on with open. Right, now I'm doing open. And now I'm only booking pro events. So I feel like now it's almost like the stepping stones. Like, okay, so what's my next goal? What's my next goal? And now it's like, right, I want to nail the pro weights, and that's like my goal now. I feel like last season was all about open. So the first season was doubles, second season was open, and now it's like, right, let's go for the pros.
Yeah, it's interesting sort of strategy because I was thinking like next year whether to kind of start with doubles, then do singles, then maybe do pro or something like that. But then by doing like the same thing every season, there's obviously going to be some benefit there. I think I know earlier I was talking a little bit about you're like being an actual hybrid athlete and being able to do the push-ups and stuff that you were talking about. And I feel like doubles, although it's like really awesome, it's mainly running. Like singles is the hybrid thing. Do you know what I mean? Like singles or pro, that's the hybrid athlete thing, because I think you can get away with not being that strong doing the doubles. I don't know, it just feels like, and I don't know if you've noticed now, but you've seen a lot of people catch on to this, and doubles, all of a sudden the doubles times are going faster and faster and faster.
Absolutely.
Because like people are coming in who are super lightweight, and it's not as important to have that strength base. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because of my kind of like running base. I don't know.
Yeah, I found the doubles super fun actually, because I hadn't done a doubles in that sense. And then I think it was quite good because I guess with me and Chris, we didn't know each other before the event, but we both knew we had very similar running times. So I was quite excited to sort of see what we were going to get together. And actually then running like super fast 1Ks, I was like, okay, this is great. This is fun.
Yeah. What was that like as well, meeting Chris on the day, and how did that go?
Yeah, it was weird actually, because I remember turning up and I was like, oh, okay, right. We'd been speaking on Instagram beforehand, but obviously, we didn't really decide what we were going to do until we got into the warm-up zone, and we're like, right, so how should we split this then? How should we do this? And actually, it was so slick. Like, considering we literally just met each other that day, it was such a slick race. We got
I can't
really
believe you just sided, by the way, in the warm-up area. That fills me with anxiety. Me and my mate, we did doubles with like we had a weekend together, like figuring it all out, like with a sandbag in his living room, and he's in his pajamas, like trying to figure out what we're doing, because like the transitions and stuff is such a big part of it. So I thought it was really impressive that you were able to do that. Like, did you practice your sandbag transition, the warm up and stuff?
Yeah, we did that in the warm up zone. So yeah, we sort of went through each discipline in the warm up zone and said, right, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. But the thing is, I always find, because I found this actually when I used to compete with Carla, who was my women's doubles partner at the beginning. You can have a plan as much in place, but on the day, like things change, you know, like you can say you're going to start then on this exercise, you're going to start on exercise, but you know, someone might be puffing more and say, actually, you go. So I find that actually it changes quite a lot within the race. Like I had one where I did it with Carla, I think it was in Vienna. And she picked up a Red Bull rather than a water, got a stitch, and then was like, you need to do most of the exercise at the beginning because
Really?
I'm in pain. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix sometimes.
Yeah. The Red Bull's an interesting one. Like whether it's a useful thing to be consuming around the race. What do you think?
I'm not a fan. I think
Yeah.
I've heard too many people getting stitches from drinking Red Bull during the event. Yeah, I've never been a fan of energy drinks in that sense. Guess I'm just I think to have it, or like, just I guess to have it during an event next to the water, I think is a little bit risky.
Yeah, they did. I think it was. I think it was Birmingham. They had the electrofuel, my protein stuff, and that was good because it was
Much.
actual electrolytes.
Mm,
But then they've stopped doing that now. So I think I'm just trying to get better at training without that need to like
mm,
have a drink or whatever.
mm.
How many times do you like go to the water station, if at all?
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. I guess the Roxzone for me is like one of my strengths. I
Mm.
use that to sort of gun it from there. So yeah, I've never used the water stations.
There's a little bit of like a joke in our gym where like someone said I'm like the most hydrated man in Cumbria. I bring like a cool box and I've got all my drinks. I'm so like obsessive. I think I always think, well, I want to stay hydrated. I think, well, I might as well hydrate while I'm training because then
Yeah.
then I'm not playing catch up. When you get home, you've got to like drink loads of water.
Mm,
But the downside of that is I think I'm a little bit over reliant on like, oh, do I need a drink? And I was
mm,
thinking recently, like, I think I need to get to the point where I don't need that station
yeah.
because, like you say, if you can fly through that rock zone, um, it's got to be like a huge benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess actually I'm probably the opposite. I've been called a camel previously in terms of probably how much water I have. So I actually feel like I have to be like almost have it as a bit of a task to be like, right, drink water. And leading up to
Mm,
events, I almost strap a bottle to my arm to like for the few weeks before to make sure I'm drinking electrolytes and
yeah,
water. But out of training season, I have to be quite conscientious to be like, okay, you need to drink a bit more water because definitely not drinking enough to what you should be.
yeah. I think it's more common as well with women because you know lads we're just like, oh, we'll just have a piss here. Like it's so much easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that I'm being sexist, you know, you can by all means.
Yeah.
What about can you tell me what like PBs, 1RMs, you got any of those stats available?
In terms of what
Like
for?
have you got like 5K,
Okay.
1RM deadlift, back squat, any of those figures to hand? I didn't
Yeah.
prep you on this, so it's my
No,
fault
no.
if you don't
So,
know.
did first park run. Yeah, did my first park run at the end of last year in December. Did an 18:08 in a 5K.
Nice.
Um, and then 10K. I've never actually done an event for that, so I don't. But I guess when I've done it on a lunch break, I did it in. sub 39, so I think it was 38 something.
That's quick on your lunch.
That was literally, yeah, I think my colleague the other day, I'm literally sat at my desk in running clothes, ready to go, heart rate monitor at the desk, and then straight on my shoes, straight out the door, down the stairs. So
you beat me by 20 seconds on both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, the 5K and the 10K. But I killed myself on the 10K though.
What was your time on the 10?
On the 10, 39:20.
Okay.
But that I think that was responsible for me not running for like 4 or 5 weeks after that. That was in November.
Okay.
And like I was just like I was adamant that I was going to do sub 40. And it was just an ego race. I wasn't training for it, and I just didn't. It was an interesting example where we talk about you've got to push yourself and get the best out of yourself, and that's true. But there's some things where you can actually do it to your detriment. And so, for example, with that race, I looked at because there was some photographs afterwards, and like because I wasn't in the right, I wasn't in a good. My body wasn't in a good state on the day. I just didn't feel right. I think I was maybe coming down with something, but I was so adamant that I wasn't going to pull out.
Okay.
And I was going to keep up with that sub 4 pace. But my form just went out the window, and like you can see on the pictures, like I'm heel striking. And then lo and behold, 3, 4, 5 days later, my knee starts swelling up. And and I really paid the price.
Okay.
For like, yeah. So it was an interesting lesson to be like when to push and when to actually go, do you know what? Like keep that form, like just finishing whatever you finish. Like there's no point, but it's nice to say I've done sub 40.
Yeah. I guess that sometimes it's okay to look back on it once you're in the future and you can say, oh, it was worth it. But at the time it's like, was that worth it?
Yeah, exactly. And what about like lifting PBs?
Yeah, so lifting PBs, I actually need to do. I guess I have never actually done it as what's my PB. I've only just done it within training rather than actually what my PB is. The only thing I can relate back to is doing the Brighton Fitness Games and doing 100 on deadlift. But that was a while ago now.
Yeah.
A while ago. So I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
What about Ergs? Got any Erg PBs?
Erg PBs. No, again, I think, to be honest, because my training is so within a training session, this definitely draws my attention to say I should be doing PBs and seeing actually, because then that's where I can mark my progress, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can get a bit neurotic about it, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, what you're doing's been working, so it's people who like track everything crazy, maybe that's a good idea, maybe it's not. I like doing it though. It's cool going on like a spreadsheet, and then I can also go like, all right, so I did a 5K at this time, or I did a one, and then my HYROX race, what was my sled push or whatever, and then I don't know. I love all that sort of stuff. I think HYROX is cool for that because you get so much data.
Oh, I love that. I love how much data you get from stuff now, because I'm like, okay, cool. Okay, now I can compare that to this one and this one.
Yeah. Did you see what happened at Manchester with the splits?
No, what happened?
Yeah. So so on the relay, we didn't get our actual splits until like Monday. And because they introduced this new timing system, so all the times were wrong. Like because me and my mate should have got a penalty. That was only awarded like a week later. So yeah, it was all kind of a bit crazy.
The thing is, it's moving so quickly. Like the HYROX industry is so quick, and actually, I think sometimes I guess there's so many people competing now. The growth has been crazy. Like I think it was in my first season, 90,000 people. Last year, 150,000, and then this last year is now 500,000. So it's like growth's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't like to be rolling out a software change on timings like for an event like that, but Yeah, it's one of those because people are criticizing. What if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Because people like the HYROX time system, but I wonder whether it's a response to like all these third party companies that are jumping in and doing their own version of the data. Maybe they're trying to make it a bit more like that so that people stay on the HYROX website. I don't know.
Yeah,
Potentially.
because I do the wall balls now in terms at World Champs. I'm not sure if they've done it at any other local events yet, but you get the where it actually says how many reps you've done.
Yeah, we had it at
You
Manchester.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I thought it was so much better because when I was at
Yeah.
Worlds last year, I nearly put the wall ball down, and then I saw the girl next to me. I was like, absolutely not. She's not beating me. So it kept me going. So it was like
Yeah.
that extra like push of knowing where someone else is at.
It's cool, yeah. And I thought the other day as well, because I didn't think I'd like it because of like what happened to Sandbach at the Worlds, and they messed up, didn't they? But I think it is cool because as well, and again, and maybe this was on purpose and maybe not, but like with the whole HYROX and like thinking about growth, think about now, people are able to publish like reels and you can see like where it's neck and neck counting, whereas you couldn't before. You don't know what they were on.
Exactly.
So like I've seen like a few reels going around of like these dramatic finishes and like you can see the numbers and it's that visual thing which is only going to make it grow again. Whether that was done by on purpose or by accident, I don't know. I know we need to wrap up shortly. So I've got this little section which I told you about in advance: overrated and underrated.
Okay.
Do you think? Did you have anything prepped? I know I only gave you 10 minutes notice.
Send me, I think.
Okay, so most overrated and underrated food.
Okay, I guess. So overrated. Since this call actually has now changed to Red Bull.
Okay.
That's been not the great food. Underrated peanut butter. Like,
yeah,
love peanut butter. I've never ever raced a competition without having peanut butter beforehand.
So yeah, I love it. Although I have to, but I try not to have it around. Like, so the whole peanut butter and jam thing.
Yeah.
I just turn into an addict. So if I start having it pre-race or pre-training, I'll come home from training and I'll make like 3 bagels and then sit on the sofa and then just feel like shit. So
yeah.
But it's the wheat for me. Like the wheat doesn't like I don't have much wheat, so it's kind of But I do smashing the peanut butter at night.
I probably have, I do probably have about a jar a week of peanut butter. I love it. Do you know what, actually? I commented on a Pip and Nut, the peanut butter brand, the other day, which you had to say what your peanut butter obsession was on the post. And the winner gets a year's free of Pip and Nut supply.
Oh, really?
I got a message in my DMs yesterday saying, what's your email? Look out in your emails this week. So.
Oh, nice.
Fingers crossed, I might have got a year's worth of peanut butter.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like it goes in everything well, certainly I do like Greek yogurt, protein powder, fuckloads of peanut butter, and then like maybe like it's just a complete mess of like calories. I think I was vegan years ago, and peanut butter was like such a good source of protein as well. Like one of the only. So I think it comes from them. Have you ever seen? There's one called Proper Nutty.
Yes. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It looks like a paint tin.
Yeah, I think no, I have had that one before. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's really
that one's
good.
so good. Do you add salt to it? I add salt to mine.
Do you? No,
yeah.
Keep it.
Savage. Yeah. I add salt to the salted peanut butter.
Oh,
all
makes
right.
it better.
Overrated, underrated exercise.
Okay. Is this in terms of HYROX disciplines or just generally?
Up to you.
Well, in terms of generally, I think overrated is the bike. I've never been a big fan of the bike. Probably why I like HYROX so much is because the bike isn't in it. And then in terms of underrated, and something I've realised is so important now, which I didn't used to do as much of before, was mobility. I never used to be a great person at stretching or anything, and it was only actually when my brother, who I've always probably looked up to, sorry, in exercise, absolute machine, injured his back last year and is now doing yoga and mobility as like a counter to try and deal with it. And he's like, if I could turn back time, I'd be doing that as part of my daily training, like to prevent it. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to get injured, so do more work of that.
Yeah, certainly stretching down after a session is like, it's so easy to not do it.
Yeah.
But I would find, like, if I'm keeping up with that, then I'm pretty much good.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? But it's hard because, you've got your warm up before a session, then you've got the session, and then you've got like 30 minutes, 40 minutes stretching down afterwards. It's a long, it's a long session. And plus, most of the time, like, everyone else has left the gym.
100%. So like after gym, I feel like I'll do the stretch. After, like, when I'm doing 10K at lunch, I'm like, in my head, I'm almost like, get it done quicker, because the quicker you get it done, the more you can have time to stretch. So it's just,
Yeah. What about supplement? Overrated, underrated?
So protein, I've always taken protein. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had days without it. I guess I do have a lot of protein-based foods, but I guess just to up it to what I want to have, or how much I want to have a day. And then I haven't really taken any other supplements, to be honest. I feel like I'm so on the fence at the moment, actually, in terms of creatine. Like, so many people keep telling me I should take creatine. So I think it's something I should start playing around with. But apart from that, I've never taken pre-workout or anything like that. I feel like in a way, I'm so hyped up for exercise anyway. I almost don't want to have something that's going to hype me even more and then be reliant on it. So I've just been like, I almost already get a bit of a crazy buzz anyway. So yeah, I've not really delved too much into sort of, I guess, the supplement world.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm the opposite, to be honest. I'm not as bad as I used to be. I take less now, but
what's your fave?
Pardon?
What's your fave? What's your favorite thing?
I think either, like, if I had to keep one, either probably creatine, I guess, like, because the most studies, it's the safest. But I do like beta-alanine.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, that's the one that gives you an itchy face.
Okay.
Red flag.
I was like,
yeah. So, but that one, I do feel like I felt like it really did help.
okay.
But yeah, it's like a bit of a weird one after a while, because you're like, I got into training, like functional training, for like longevity and health span and stuff like that, and then you're taking all these supplements, and like, is this counterintuitive to like what was my original goal?
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I actually, creatine. I was taking 12 gram a day because I read about, like, some people doing experimental like levels, and it's totally safe and no downsides, and you could get like these brain health advantages, because it's like helps your brain function. But also I recently found out that all creatine, other than Creapure, is made in China.
Oh.
And I was
so
like,
Creapure is the best?
Yeah, well, it's German.
Okay.
Yeah. So, take with that what you will. But like, this Creapure is in Germany. Everything else is from China.
Okay.
And then when you think about where does creatine come from, it's like beef, and it's powdered. So, like, beef powder from China. Like, maybe don't want to be like, is it a good idea to be smashing so much in?
You're not selling it to me, Jason, I have to
say. No, yeah. That wasn't my intention. So maybe Creapure, like 3 to 5 gram of that might be interesting. But yeah,
After
I
give it a
feel
go.
like in one sense, I feel like, you know, if you got a coach, started taking beta alanine and creatine, like that might just take you way to the next level. Or it might just be the other way though, because what you're doing already is working. So
Yeah, interesting. I
don't
feel
take
like
my advice.
Prep you all the way.
Yeah. Okay. Overrated, underrated habit.
Overrated, underrated habit. Underrated habit. I'm trying to think. Underrated habit is, I guess, peanut butter before a race day. I don't know. Can that be a habit?
Yeah.
To the point that actually when I was in France, I bought a whole big jar of peanut butter, even though I knew I was flying the next day, just to make sure that I had peanut butter before I was racing. So that's
I do panic if I don't have it.
I do. I generally do. And then overrated. I'm trying to think what's an overrated habit. This is one I probably didn't get to. Yeah, I might have to pass. I'm trying to, you know, when you're trying to like flick through what you've seen people doing, and you're like, is that something I've done, or is that not something I've done?
Also, like podcasts do this to you. Like your cognition capacity tends to like half at times. I'm well aware of it.
Yeah.
If you think of one afterwards, message me and I'll put it in the notes.
Okay, amazing.
Okay, Allana, thank you so much. This has been cool. I appreciate you offering your insights and telling me and the listeners all about your training, etc. So thank you. What are your goals, plans for the rest of the year and season?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on here. It's been lovely to meet you.
Welcome.
And yeah, goals for the season. Obviously, we've got Barcelona coming up, Malaga, and then obviously got Worlds. So Worlds, I'm doing singles pro, and I'm doing doubles with Chris. Yeah, big things for HYROX. Obviously, yeah, want to get stronger and absolutely smash that time, get that down. Also doing another Spartan. I'm really trying to get into Spartan a bit more this year. I did my first event last year, came first, and actually doing it as a social one with a friend. So wasn't actually gunning it. I think we were actually talking about doing Ironmans as we were running around doing it. So I feel like that's something I want to get into now, doing Spartans. I love trail running, so it's like trail running and HYROX together. It's great. And also I know Lauren Weeks does Spartans. She's like one of the world's leading in Spartan, so she's obviously doing something right, being obviously one of the top athletes. So yeah, biggest goals were really there is to obviously smash my HYROX times, get some better PBs, and do good at Worlds.
Amazing. I'll look forward to seeing how you get on.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to find out more about your stuff, follow you and all that stuff?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. So it's Allana_Falconer Fit. And yeah, I post sort of different things that I'm doing on there, whether I've done different training camps. So I went to sort of Mike's gym was it last year, and Club de Santa, different training places, and post sort of different sporting events and trainings on there.
Awesome. And I'll put all that in the show notes so people can link through to your bio and stuff. All right. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate your time, and yeah, have a great day.
Thanks so much, Jason. Lovely to meet you, and see you later, everyone.
Thank you. Hey guys, it's me. Thank you so much for watching that episode, and congratulations for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. A few things before you get going. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode, the kindest thing you can do for me is to share it with a friend or family member. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to both my guests and myself. And if you made it this far, why don't you drop me a DM?